we've spent way too long thinking of the masculine as these external societal cues. Like a few years ago, and still today, one of the things that got really big again, as women could feel that men were losing their self-certainty in who they were, was where have all the men gone? Hannah Roizen wrote the great book, The End of Men, right? Where have all the manly men gone? And so suddenly there was a proliferation of big beards. Oh, like now you're a man because you have a big beard. I'm sorry, I have to say it. It's so frustrating to me. You see these externalized expressions of what we think are manlyhoods, but they're literally being a caricature of manhood. I was at Esther Perel's conference for professionals, and she called it the masculinity paradox. And it was about this outward show of masculine cues and signals that didn't necessarily relate to a man deeply expressing who he really was as a man, all the inner emotions, right? The way we need to act to be seen as masculine. Masculine, feminine today has less to do in many ways with biology and more to do with these two sides of ourselves. We all have them. You know, the side of us that is more in our empathy, emotion, our availability to the moment, our expansive sensitivity, some of these things that would have been traditionally considered feminine. Now we can almost just think of them as polarities, like yin and yang in Eastern philosophy. And then the other polarity of being more directional, rational, goal-directed, moving past things, being able to tune out or focus out of what I'm feeling so that I can get to this thing. And those two sides are necessary. What we've done a piss poor job at in our society is knowing how and when to honor each and balance both so that we can switch in and out in a way that feels good to us. I work with powerful women, but and so many powerful women here like, oh, you have masculine energy, you're too much, you're hard, I am not about saying you need to get rid of that. Don't make people wrong for having a well-developed masculine or feminine. But have we underdeveloped the other side? It's like having a big left arm and a small right arm. Let's bring the feminine up into a powerful balance. We've lost the sense in our society of honoring that the feminine is very powerful, right? And sometimes it's for role models. I have a lot of clients who come in and say, I love my mom, but I do not want to be her. She did not role model being empowered in the way I want to be empowered. So we can have an idea that it looks a certain way. The feminine is so, so powerful. And so bringing that up is a really important thing. But a lot of men who kind of have lost their way have a very well-developed set of what we've traditionally called feminine qualities and haven't connected to, to their masculine inner qualities as much. And so then they can act like a guy, but they don't have the emotional certitude, the self-knowledge, the integrity to be able to follow through and deliver as a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is another one we could talk about for the rest of
of our lives
time, because there's so much here, and I think there's a lot of confusion in this area too. A lot of confusion for women and a lot of confusion for men, because role models and stereotypical paths for both men and women have kind of been shaken up.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much confusion, and I think it causes a lot of confusion in relationships, because what I find is that most women, and there's never 100% here because we're all individuals, but most women, even the really strong, successful, independent women, still long for that safety or that comfort of being in the presence of a man who is in his masculine. But also women today want a man who also has some sensitivity.
Absolutely.
And some of that, emotional depth that we don't typically think of with the idea of, a macho guy. Yeah.
It's not going to either extreme, right? We don't want the dependency of, I need a man to this or that. I need a man to be had some bullshit. No, you don't. But not going to the extreme reactionary part of, I don't need anybody. I don't need it, to the point where it's, I don't even want to receive or be open to it. It's like my client who said, she's very successful negotiator, had a tempestuous kind of thing with her dad, right? For dominance, control in the household. He didn't treat mom well. So she was like, if I identify with her, I'm just going to be the person who gets crapped on. But the masculine energy I'm seeing, right? But she also learned an unhealthy masculine from him. So she was a negotiator, who would basically go into boardrooms full of men and crush them. And that felt fulfilling to her because it was healing some wounds too. Like, I'm not powerless in the face of this kind of male, right? So it was good, but it was reinforcing bad stuff. Ultimately for her, she had all these properties. She was doing very well financially, but she said, I know I can fix a loose doorknob, but I don't want to have to. Like, I want to be able to say, you get that? And he'll be like, yeah, don't worry, I got that. So it's that ability to say, how do I start creating the balance? Of course I can do these things. Doesn't mean I always want to. Like, I'd like to have some support. I'd like to be able to pass stuff off. But then that's trust in knowing that he's a competent man, right?
Right.
He's competent, and he's not going to let you down. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we could talk about this one for a long time. I think also for women, the femininity piece is a little bit tricky too, because some women, when they even hear the word feminine, it can be an emotionally charged word. Like, does it represent weakness?
Yes.
Does it represent like the damsel in distress kind of thing?
Yeah.
Is it all about how you look? Is it all focused on, how you dress and present and all of the outward stuff?
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on around that for women as well.
Yeah.
And
it brings up all your associations from your past, and also quite often what you are trying to intentionally change about that. So you can feel crazy and have multiple, right? It's like I just got off a call with a client who was like, this is the way my mom was, and I don't want to be it, but it imprinted me. So I'm doing all these things to act this way, and yet then I end up having her stuff come through me too. So it's like, I'm this, but we can feel paradoxical. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. And so I just am saying, and yet it's that polarity and that balance that makes a relationship in many ways, fun and interesting, and creates the romantic part of it, if you will.
Yeah. Well, look, if we're, and this is, we can be balanced though, and I've been around strong, powerful my whole life. And so there's polarity in different aspects.
Right.
Here's the thing you do well. You take charge of this thing, right? And by the way, this is where I don't like masculine, feminine as terms anymore, because it's not about gender. Because look at that one even. Here, you do this. You're good at this. You take charge. Oh, so that's masculine, meaning what? You're more, the man side is the one who's good at things. And what does that make the female side? So it's like time to let go of those particular gender-based terms. Which is a whole different discussion than the whole biology part of that. But just the idea that there is polarity, and it really helps. Like, there are things Anna's great at that I am not great at. And there are things I'm great at that she's not great at. And it's nice to be able to hand that off and to have that trust in each other.